All right, this is Dan Ritchie. This is one of the final sessions, Secrets of a Successful Studio Owner. I'm going to start with a little video. I do not believe I have a moderator or anyone introducing me, so I'm going to use this video to introduce myself.
The fitness industry has essentially ignored the clients over 50. To me, that's a huge mistake. A lot of times people think senior fitness is a niche. Well, boomers are not a niche.
There's no other population in history that's been larger. They have a lot of discretionary spending power, and they are demanding something different. Trainers that don't get in, get trained early are really going to be left behind from a business perspective.
Older boomers in their late 60s, they really do plan to live into their 90s. So they're clients for the next 30 years. The ones in their early 50s, many of them are thinking about living well to 100. So you're talking about a huge opportunity of clients that will train with you essentially for the rest of their lives, your entire career.
Dan and I met when we were both at Purdue pursuing our PhDs. We immediately fell into a friendship with one another because we shared passion for working with the older adult population. Functional aging training is a unique approach that takes functional exercise and matches it to the needs of an older adult.
We have over 20 years experience in the field, studying this population and really putting together a sound program that's going to give you all the tools that you need. We've trained over 2,000 clients and have really built a huge foundation for what we know works with this clientele. I find it a real honor to be able to work with these people so that they can live life to the fullest at whatever their age is. They have so much more life experience. They have so many valuable, rich things to share. They teach me things about what really matters.
When you make a dramatic difference in someone's life, and they're telling you stuff that, they haven't done in years, that means you're making a difference.
All right, I'm going to share my slides here. I'm going to ask that you guys try to stay off video at least for the first half hour, and then it's going to be pretty interactive. I'm going to do some live Q&A, so people keep coming in. They're going to keep turning their camera on, but that's okay. So I will try my best. So we're going to talk about secrets of successful studios. There are definitely more than I can even cover today, but I'm going to try to hit some highlights of what I've seen over the last 10 years and hopefully give you a few nuggets. I'm going to put up a couple of polls. I'd like for you to respond to those polls. And again, if possible, I'd like for you to keep your video off. So go ahead and answer those polls. I hope you're seeing them. Yep, answers are coming in, so that's great. We'll see how many no ways we get on the bottom one. So let's start with the framework of how hard could it be to be a successful studio owner. And I'm going to really position that from the framework of being profitable. Now, there are certainly successful studios that are not overly profitable. There are successful facilities that are non-for-profits. There are a variety of different business models that could be successful, but I'm really approaching this talk from the perspective of a for-profit training studio, not a non-for-profit, not a silver sneaker operation, not a community center. Those can be very successful businesses. I'm not saying they're not. It's just that's not really the focus of the talk. So I'm seeing the poll come in. Are you a studio owner? Yes is 29%, and no is 71%. Are you thinking about opening a studio in the next 12 months? Yes, 33%. Wow, that's a big number. 7 out of 21. Maybe 10 out of 21, 48% are on the fence, and then no way, 24%. So thanks for your honesty on the polling. I'm going to share those results. You should be able to see that on screen. Pretty interesting poll. So only 30% in the room are studio owners, 70% are not, and we've got over 70% of the room either yes or maybe. So that's great. So let's start with a client of mine who bought a ladies knockoff circuit gym, if you will, not a Curves, but something similar. I think it was even called Ladies Circuit Gym. What a really catchy name, right? So she bought this facility and basically thought, how hard can it be, right? I mean, how hard can it be to run a fitness business? How hard can it be to run a fitness studio? Well, it doesn't really have to be that hard. It can actually be really easy. In fact, the business she bought was quite easy to run. She worked from about 6 to 10, took what she called a siesta from about 10 to 3, and then she worked from 3 to 6, sort of the morning hours and the afternoon hours. People came in, did their circuit, right? Really wasn't that hard, except she wasn't making any money, right? And so the question really is, how hard is it to actually make a profit? She had a business with 100 customers and it wasn't profitable. She was making about $3,500 a month in revenue, which is virtually barely paying her rent, right? The circuit gym model, the low-cost gym model, customers are going to be paying $35, $40, $45 a month. She had 100 customers. So we talked about, well, you could raise your rates. Well, how high can you raise them, right? Well, maybe you could raise them to 50. So now you're making $5,000 a month, but you're still not going to be profitable enough to be sustainable. Her rent, I think, was close to $3,000 a month. So we talked about redesigning her business. And I actually suggested you fire all of your clients, to which she protested. And this is Dina Medina of Active Age Fitness. She protested, you want me to fire all of them, like have 0 customers? That's exactly what she said. I said, you don't want any of them, do you? They're only paying you $35 a month. They're not paying the bills. It's not a sustainable business model. What if, so I put it to her, I said, well, what if we got 100 more of them? What if we doubled your business? Oh, that would be disastrous, she said. One, I couldn't handle them all. I'd have to work more and I'd still only be making $7,000 a month. So we re-engineered her business. We started with 20 small group personal training clients, 20 small group personal training clients at $200 a month. She's now making $4,000 a month from those 20 people, and she fired the 100 customers. Now, when I say fired, that sounds a little harsh, right? She didn't fire them. She offered to them to enter her small group personal training program at a significant discount, essentially half price. Hey, Cindy, I'm turning off video just for now since I don't have a moderator and I don't want to have 19 different people looking at me while I'm trying to talk. So I'll turn you guys on in just a little bit. Interestingly enough, of the 100 customers, I think she only had 2 or 3 that took her up on a fantastic offer to become a personal training client. They wanted their ladies circuit gym, and that's fine, and they found somewhere else to go. And she now has over 100 customers that pay her an average of over $250 a month. So she's now bringing in close to $30,000 a month with about the same number of customers and delivering a greater experience that she's happy with. And so she had to redesign her business. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this was easy by any means. I'm sure it was painful to watch these customers leave. I'm sure some of them had unkind words for her because they ruined their gym. Their gym was being ruined by her, right? They thought it was their business. So I'm sure it was not a fun process, but to look forward at when is your business going to be successful, she realized she had to make the change. If you build it, they will come. That was an attitude a lot of people had about opening studios in the early 2000s. We'll open a training studio and people will just come. We'll open a fitness center or a health club and people will just show up. And sadly, that's really not the case. And of course, that sort of mindset, there's always going to be someone else that's going to build a bigger facility, a shinier facility, a new facility. In my town of West Lafayette, the city is building the newest, greatest community center with swimming pools and basketball courts and fitness center. I can't even compete against my own town, right? My own city parks and rec are beginning to play. So you never know who's going to build it next, and that really should not be your mantra. So some key tactics we're going to go over. Stop making the mistake of relying simply on word of mouth. You have to build it, foster it, control it, and we're going to talk about that. If you just think people are going to mention you, they're not. They're simply not. The reality is people come, they train with you, they love training with you, but it's not their primary goal in life to tell everyone they know about you. It's just not. Think about your favorite restaurant. Well, you probably tell your closest friends about your favorite restaurant, but do you make it a point every day to get up and tell everyone you know about your favorite restaurant? It's probably not on your priority list. And it's the same with our fitness studio. So we have to build, foster, encourage, create ways to build and spread word of mouth. Do not try to reinvent the wheel, beg, borrow, and model others. I heard a speaker say, steal from others. You don't have to steal. Everybody's willing to let you model what they have. In fact, you're welcome to come to Miracles Fitness. We offer trainings here multiple times a year. You're welcome, obviously, to join our coaching and mastermind program where you can beg, borrow, and model every other studio owner's model inside of it. I don't remember if Bruno's in here, but Dolly is in here. Still Got It Fitness. I've shared pictures from their facility. There are lots of great models out there. So don't feel like you have to completely create this from scratch. You don't. In fact, I would recommend that you don't do that. I would recommend that you look at models that are successful. You model that. Hi, Mary, thanks for joining us. I'm going to turn your video off for just a second, just to help me stay on target here. And then I do want to see all of you here in just a few minutes. We're going to do a couple of drills here, and I want to see all of you. So to me, this is one of the foundational secrets. If you have heard me talk before on the keys to success, it's building a list. And I think building a list comes into a couple of different categories, but you have to build people that are following you, and then you have to build a tribe. And now your tribe could be your collection of clients or people that pay you, or maybe a part-time customer to a full-time dedicated customer. The following, those are just people that are following what you do, right? They're not necessarily your clientele, but we have to have a list of these people. Your customers are in the list. Your clients are on the list. We have lists of our absolute best clients, our really good clients, our so-so come and go clients. There might be a client for a year, then they take a year off. Might come back for a year, take a year off. And then we have people who, they might do a 6-week challenge. They might sign up for the summer. And then we have a whole host of people that are on our list that we never know when the right day will come. It might come a month from now. It might come a year from now. It might come 3 years from now. They might be waiting for the day they retire. We really don't know, but we have to be building that list because we don't know if someone is 3 months from signing up, 3 days from signing up, or 3 years from signing up. Give you an example of Gene. Gene came in with my book in hand. He has my book and he says, my doctor gave me your book a year ago. I said, okay. So you've been holding on to that for a little while. I said, have you read it? He said, oh yeah, I read it when my doctor gave it to me and I knew I needed to call you. For 6 months, I've been meaning to call you. So for 6 months, he wasn't meaning to take any action whatsoever. And then he started to shift, right? He moved to, well, I probably should call that Dan Ritchie guy. I need to look into this. I need to do something. And then he finally walked in. That was 5 years ago. He's still a client to this day. I don't know that we'll ever get rid of him. But we have to realize we built a list, right? We built a list of physicians that would give away our book. That eventually got in his hands. He's now on a list of someone who's received our book. And eventually he got onto our customer list, which is, of course, where we really want them. I always encourage people, read books. Now, typically, I encourage people to read books in areas where you need to improve. right? So if you're really struggling with some marketing concepts and marketing communication and local marketing strategies, then by all means, get some of the best. I have it right here. Get some of the best simple marketing strategy books. No BS Marketing Series by Dan Kennedy. If you're struggling with leadership, if you're struggling to build a team, if you find yourself constantly saying, boy, I can't hire good people, they don't seem to be out there, then maybe that's the book that you need to read. So there's an example of that there for you. Keep in mind, when I said model success, well, there are lots of books of successful business leaders, successful business marketers. So reading a book is a wealth of information. So how do we build a list? How do we create more word of mouth? First, who do you want on your list? That's a fundamental mistake, to build a list of people you don't want. So I always jokingly say, you know who I really want on my list are people who are gladly willing to pay my price even more. They would pay 50% more if we really asked them, and they're going to refer me their friends, and they're going to train with me for years. They're not going anywhere. They plan to renew year after year after year. That's who I want on my list. So you don't want everyone on your list. Some people are like, oh, I built a list of 5,000. Only 2,500 of them live within 10 miles of my facility, but the other 2,500, who knows, they might. So you have to make sure who you really want on your list. Who's your avatar? So avatar is a word for your ideal client, your real target market. Who do you really want to train? And let's be honest, that's a broad market, even in the older adult market. Do you want to train people in their 50s? Do you want to train women only, men only, golfers? You want to train people 75 plus that have balance and fall prevention on their top of mind? There's a different marketing strategy to build a list for 78 to 88-year-olds than there is for 58 to 68-year-olds. So you have to sort of hone in on who you really want to train. What story are you telling to build this list? Tell a story, share client success stories, create stars, and offer a solution. So you have 2, 3, 4 clients that just have tremendous stories, like Joanne, who went to the Galapagos Islands. Create stars out of your stories and offer solutions based on that. Gene, for example, has been training with us for several years. He's reduced his pain. He's just enjoying life better. He's moving better. And so it doesn't have to be a complex solution, right? Like we didn't solve something dramatic for Gene. We're just helping him do life better, and people are looking for that solution. Be a positive aging paradigm in your community. Dr. Charles Euchster, one of the heroes of successful aging. We have confused illness with the process of aging, which can be thoroughly healthy. Illness is not a necessary part of aging. You have to be sharing these stories in your community. People 70, 75, 80 years old need to realize that it's really up to them how healthy they are in their later years. It doesn't have to be frailty and decline. Dr. Charles Euchster took up all sorts of sports in his 90s. He joked that the competition in the sprinting masters championships in the 90s was light because there weren't many competing in it. So he set world records in sprinting and masters rowing, among other things. And I believe he passed away quietly at the age of 97. Went to bed one night, didn't wake up. We actually had planned to interview him, and it just never quite worked out. We couldn't get the technology to work or the schedule. He's in the UK, different time zones, and all of a sudden then he was gone, and that was quite sad a couple of years ago. Banana George Blair passed away in 2013, was still caught water skiing in his 90s. Now, he was quite the avid water skier in his later years, but still in his 90s took to the water. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but the first time I heard that, and still when I share that, I sometimes go, man, that's crazy, someone water skiing in their 90s. And when you watch video of it, he falls, and you're like, wow, that was a pretty good tumble. And he had a great time. I absolutely loved it, right? So People in their 90s can do extraordinary things. We have just been led to believe, right, that they can't, and we've bought into that. So here's some ideal client options, and then I want to ask some of you to hop on camera here, and we'll talk through some of yours. So ideal clients can obviously be affluent, educated. Here's an age range, 55 to 70. If you want to focus on people who are pre-retirement and just retiring, as opposed to for sure retirees in their 70s and 80s. They are working, retired, and everything in between. Boomer women. I know some fitness studio owners, women only. They're still doing essentially that female model only, but they're doing personal training, high end, not low cost. They're definitely looking for affluent boomer women. Great consumer market. Grandmothers. You could add grandfathers to this, grandparents to this. Great target clientele. They want to do active things with their grandkids. So how do we market to being an absolute active grandparent? Couples. Now again, this probably has an age range. Do you want retired couples? Do you want working couples? Do you want people in their 50s to early 60s? Or do you want retirees who have time on their hands and they want fitness training to be one of their leisure activities that then drives all the things that they do? That's a great market segment, especially as people are retiring and they realize we want to travel, we want to play tennis, we want to play pickleball is all the rage, we want to play golf, I hear people say, well, in 4 or 5 years we want to move to Florida and then we want to be able to do all sorts of things, right? Walk on the beach. Here comes Bruno. I'm going to turn your video off just briefly, Bruno. We'll turn you back on in a second. The fit butt category is one of my favorites. And this has nothing to do with their glutes. This is not actually about their tush. Hold on, let me go back. This is that population, and I think this is personally one of the biggest segments. This is who the fitness industry has basically left out for the last 30 to 40 years. This is that individual that says, I just can't cut it at the gym. That group fitness class was too hard for me. I'm just not fit enough. Or this is the individual who's gotten to a certain age and they say, you know, I'm fit, but I don't really want to do crazy anymore. And they think of us as, you know, CrossFit only, you know, we're making people do pull-ups and throwing weights over their head and they're pushing sleds and everybody's yelling and screaming at them. And if you're not getting sworn at, you're not working out hard. And they're like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that anymore, right? It's the fit butt category. They want to be fit, but they really want a place that will keep them safe. The last thing they want is to hurt their shoulder again. The last thing they want is to hurt their knee. Nobody wants to have to rehab a major injury at any age, let alone in their 60s or 70s, especially if they got hurt in their last fitness program or their last trainer didn't listen to them when they said, you know what, I don't think my shoulder can do that. And then boom, sure enough, they tear their rotator cuff or they tear a pec or they get some sort of injury. And guess what? Now they don't trust any of us because they were working with a certified personal trainer. They had all the credentials. They just didn't listen to me about safety. And the reality is I would rather be safe first, fit second. And I'm not willing to risk my safety and my health to do ultimate fitness. So this is a huge segment. I mean, you think about the cross-section of the United States, over 300 million people, and how many exercise, how many go to a health club, how many go to a fitness center. I would say this is almost the dominant market. Maybe slightly larger market are people that simply don't care that much about their fitness, right? They're content to be sedentary. But I think those two markets are quite large. And there's a huge opportunity. If people realize we understand them, we listen to them, and we're not here to drive them to something beyond what they're looking for. We want to motivate them to be as healthy as they want to be. We don't need to motivate them to do crazy anymore. And then there's the unfit and the unhealthy. This is going to be, in most cases, the older population. Now, there are certainly unfit people in their 50s and 60s. But to get into the unhealthy category, the frailty, the decline in cognitive fitness, and just the variety of factors we're going to find here, we're typically going to be in people over the age of 70. but not necessarily. Again, it could even be younger. But certainly people 75 plus are going to have a higher level of chronic conditions, a higher level of frailty. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for us to help them improve their quality of life, improve their activities of daily living, improve their independence, keep them independent. One of my most favorite fitness goals is I want to stay in my own home forever. Okay, great. Well, what do you have to do to be able to do that? Got to be able to take the trash out, got to be able to carry the groceries in, got to be able to navigate a flight of stairs, have to be able to, you know, cook for myself. I mean, just name all the household tasks, carrying the laundry, picking up stuff, all the things you have to do. It's not the highest fitness level in the world. It's probably not even the fit butt category, right? We can design fitness programs to help people stay in their own home for the rest of their lives. And that's a huge fitness goal for a lot of boomers. All right, so I want you to go ahead and turn your cameras on, and I'm gonna, so turn your camera on if you're willing to be called on. So go ahead and turn your cameras on. Some of you I may have turned off permission, so I might have to allow some of you. So hit me up in the chat box if I. So if you can't get on camera, raise your hand or type in the chat box, because some of you had turned your video off, so it won't let you. So here's a great example of a couple of golfers adding distance to drives and years to lives. Oops. All right, so now I can see all of you. So who wants to share first? Suzanne, you willing to talk? So Suzanne, who would you say is your absolute ideal client if you were to name them and narrow them down for me?
A little bit of both, but I could probably put them all in fit butt.
Say that one more time, sorry.
I could probably put most of them in fit butt.
Fit butt, okay.
But I have my Parkinson's people, I have that group, but most of my other clients are fit butt, moving more to fairly fit.
Male, female, equal spread?
About an equal spread. Maybe a little bit more female.
Okay. What typical average age range?
See, I got to put both of those categories together. So for my fit butts, probably late 60s, maybe 70, and then for my other group, more close to 75-ish.
Okay. So, and it's okay to have sort of two different target clients or avatars, as long as you know then you're probably going to use slightly different marketing strategies to build those lists and attract those clients. And they're even going to potentially be completely different programs because they're at different fitness levels. So that's okay. Dustin, are you willing to share?
Sure.
Been a long time. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw you.
It was Alexandria. I'm really glad you had that.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while. 10 degrees below zero. It's
yeah.
Chilly.
So who would you say is your avatar, your ideal client, and try to define them, because some people, like, I mean, I would even say, is it male, female, age range? Is it a certain health condition? Maybe for you, it's, man, I work well with people with knee pain.
A lot of post-rehab, I work at a facility where we have a physical therapy clinic right on site, so they just get transferred a lot to me. I work with a lot of couples, a lot of medical fitness. I get those really niche kind of fitness situations where it's more MS, Parkinson's. That's where I'm starting to get into cancer, a lot of different stuff, more in that medical fitness round.
Okay, great. And so, you know, based on who your ideal client is, you probably know that having those physical therapy clinic connections and referrals is going to keep that pipeline coming.
It's huge.
Yeah, cool, great. All right, who wants to share next? Bruno, you're unmuted. Do you want to talk?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Standing in your studio looks like Still Got It Fitness.
Well, yeah, I had to get away from the rest of the crew because everybody's listening to something different. So, you know, I didn't want to, you know, like bother everybody. So, but yeah, our usual clients, you know, they look for us to remain functional, basically. They want to remain functional in life. And what we do provide to them is what we tell them that is we're going to increase your quality of life. So for us, it's male and female, you know, and we have a balanced mobility class that we reach the 70 and up. And we have another class that's super popular that we call the Boomer X, where we push them a lot more. And so this, we reach the 50 to 62, 65. So those are our two different, you know, categories. But basically what we do is we tell them that we, you know, we try to remain functional for a long period of time. So what you were saying, you know, another thing that we use a lot is, yes, they all want to remain in their house. Mm-hmm. And the number one reason why people are going to assisted living, it's because they can get off the damn toilet, you know, and that's very easy to fix. And with a little bit of exercise and strength, you know, endurance, you can remain in your house for a long period of time. So that's about quality of life.
Yep.
And that's about remaining functional. So you're able to do things you enjoy doing for a long period of time.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Bruno. Anita, Manchester, UK. What is it, like 9 o'clock there?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, it's not that late, but I'm feeling tired. It's really not used to all this concentration. So it is 8:30. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to be on States time. Yeah.
So who is your ideal client, your dream client?
I don't want to be sexist, but really women. I don't turn away men.
That's fine. That's fine.
Women 55 to 65. So they're kind of coming up to retirement. So they kind of come in the evenings, which I'm not too keen about. But coming through the 60s, I'm really concerned about maintaining what they can do now and not deteriorate. And I think a lot of them are really concerned about losing the memory.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, brain health is one of the biggest fears in the boomer generation. Why would I want to live into my 90s if my brain health is going to go? And so I think adding that piece, especially if you're hearing that consistently, adding that piece to your marketing, your content, your discussion about how your programs help with cognitive fitness, I think will be huge, because
I haven't been doing that. I need to do a little bit more research on it. I've been to lectures and listened to podcasts. There's so much to do, isn't there? So many pies to put your fingers in.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like to work with active older adults, or those that I've got quite a few knee replacements and hip replacements, and that they really have that incentive to work at it. I don't have a lot of patience for people that, I don't want people that just do it for something to do because they've got the money. I want people that are really working at maintaining their functional fitness as they get older. And if they put themselves out and work hard, then I'll I put that extra mile for everybody, but more for them.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Anita. Let's do one more because I've got to stay on schedule here. Is it Julie?
Julianne?
Yeah, Julianne.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Did you want to share?
Sure. So my avatar is, of course, over 50, both genders, but I love to train people that are in pain because I love to get them out of pain. And so, of course, I'm an IMS. So, you know, Dr. Osar does an awesome job with helping us. And so I really love to take people in, and they've been the route of, you know, other healthcare professionals. And it's amazing to me when they come in, and I had a woman that you know, her surgeries were terrible. She basically had, well, I won't get into it, but surgery she should have never had. I mean,
Sure.
years ago that have really, and not female surgeries, but experimental. And so she's really suffering now. So she was in physical therapy. She came into me, did assessment. And after one session, you know, she came in, she had just been to physical therapy. Her pain level was a 7 to 8. She had tears in her eyes. And I said, okay, well, let's see what we can do. By the time I was done with her, I said, what's your pain level now? She had to think about it. She was like, oh, maybe a 1. She had to search for it. So that brought tears to my eyes, and that's what I love.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, that's great. I'm going to ask you to turn your cameras off again while we continue, and then we'll come back on again in a little bit. So lots of different examples there. The avatar across the functional aging training spectrum is pretty broad, and I think pain is a really good one. Joint issues, coming off of physical therapy, coming off of surgeries. The female only is fine. Don't apologize for being female only. It's less common for people that are male only, but even most of us who focus on both genders are still going to skew 60 to 70% female, just because of the nature that, you know, women are going to be more interested in their health. They're going to be more proactive. They're going to be, you know, more looking for our services. Men, I think, sometimes still think they can go it alone. Oh, whoops, I flew through my slides there, hit the wrong button. Okay, so strong systems and a strong culture are key to keeping your business running smoothly. This was a great client of mine for a number of years. It's not just about building a list. So when we talk about secrets of successful studio owners, you have to build a good team that are on board. If you just have a collection of hodgepodge trainers that don't buy into what you're about, pretty soon you're going to have a very disjointed business that doesn't run smoothly. So it's critical that you have trainers that have a passion for it, right? Cody talked about, is there an ideal age for a trainer for this population? Well, you could argue that there's a slight advantage to someone who's in their 50s or 60s because the clientele might trust you or feel like they can relate to you. But if you're confident, educated, and compassionate, and you care, you can be very successful in your 20s. You can build a team that has people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, a wide range. In fact, we see, and I hear about ageism across the fitness industry, people being forced out of fitness positions when they're in their 60s and 70s because there's a perception that people won't want to train with older trainers, which I think is a mistake, but maybe those trainers need to be focused on studios that are focusing on those markets. I've trained trainers in their 80s, and they've told me, I have clients 10 years younger than me. I have clients 10 years older than me, clients in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. So I think it's really critical that the people we hire into our studios, whether it's one key person or 3 or 4 part-time trainers, we have to make sure they're buying into our process, our philosophy, how we take care of our clients. That's really critical. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good to build a huge list and dump a bunch of people in only to have them falling back out. I think group training is poised to double in the next 10 years. I'm hearing people thinking, well, group training is dying because of COVID. Group training is not going to survive. Group training is going to go, the way of the dinosaur, and it's going to all be one-on-one. I don't think so. In fact, I think our studios designed with small group personal training have an advantage because we don't do large group fitness classes. We're not training 40, 50 people in a sweaty room with bikes that are inches apart from one another. I think group fitness studios may have a challenge. People are not going to want to jump back on a spin bike, 50 people in a room, and wonder who was the last person on this spin bike and did it get wiped down. And social distancing and being profitable on a group fitness model may be difficult, but small group training, 4 to 8 clients, I think is going to explode. People are going to want smaller facilities, more intimacy, more control, more understanding of who was in here last, those sorts of things. So I think it's going to explode, but I think we're going to need greater specialization. I'm already hearing you say that. You're all saying, I want to work with clients who have pain, or I want to work with clients who want to live in their own home. Bruno mentioned it, the balance focus or the Boomer X. We need to have specialization offerings so people feel like they're in the right session, right? Some of you said, well, I have a segment of my clients that are over 70 that aren't quite as fit, and then a segment that like to be trained at a higher level. So we have to have group training options at that. I think whether you're excited about this or not excited about it, online fitness is here to stay. But it's not necessarily the solution for everyone, and I will say it is not easy. People think it's easy to just jump on Zoom or FaceTime or do online training. It's not easy. It might be fairly simple to do it short term, but guess what? There's going to be a huge amount of competition and different opportunities now for your clients to go elsewhere online if your program isn't meeting their needs, if they can go somewhere else and get just as great a program for $29 a month, if they don't feel like it's customized to them, if the technology is too difficult. So I'm not going to say that it's easy, but I do think it's here to stay. I think we're going to see hybrid models. I think we're going to see trainers now opening their own studio. And I didn't ask this poll question, but I probably should have. How many of you are looking to open your own fitness business, but have it be completely virtual, completely online? There are a lot of communities that don't have much in the way of fitness. Smaller towns, rural towns, areas where there are no fitness centers, online fitness options, they hold no bounds. I mean, we can train people from multiple markets. But I don't think this is really what it's going to look like for the mature market. This is Kelsey Heenan. She runs an online fitness program, and you can tell what she's about pretty quickly, right? She's about losing weight. She's about trimming down. She's about getting lean fast. And she's been hugely successful in the online fitness space for women, but she knows her target customer. She knows her avatar. She's focused on women 29 to 45, and she stays focused on that. But there's going to be a huge opportunity for those of us that want to jump into the female and male market 50, 60, and 70. I think we're going to see hybrid models. I think many of us are going to have to continue to offer online accountability, online support, online training. The hybrid model is going to be here for quite a while, if not forever, because it's an added value, right? One of the huge advantages we have over a lot of low-cost gyms is this online accountability, the online support, online training programs. You want a snowbird? Fine, I'll train you at FaceTime. We'll train you via our Zoom groups. We'll train you via our Facebook Lives. We've got a huge YouTube library. We've got so much to take care of you and not lose touch with you while you're gone for 2 weeks to 2 months. Lots and lots of options. Whole Life Challenge and Coach Catalyst are just two that I throw out. If you're sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, I have no idea how to do online accountability and support and text messages and nutrition and all these other things that people are going to want online, these are two simple solutions. Whole Life Challenge runs ongoing challenge support year-round. They run 6-week challenges with groups. You can put all your clients in it if you want. Coach Catalyst, Trevor Whitwer, spoke yesterday at the summit. Also did a Q&A. If you didn't catch that, I encourage you to watch that on the recordings. Coach Catalyst, they started a functional fitness studio. I sort of chuckle when I hear him say, yeah, I'm standing in my studio. I'm like, what's it called? He's like, it's called Functional Fitness. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, we named it that years ago before people were even talking about functional fitness. One of their fundamental problems was accountability and follow-up, and basically the problem that most fitness studios have. How do I take care of my clients the other 165 hours a week when I'm not seeing them? And so Coach Catalyst has a done-for-you platform. I encourage you to think about adding that. Create a category of 1. Doing good on time here, so we'll have opportunity to hop back on and chat. Use better content, video, media, stories, and testimonials. Dustin says, Trevor is my former boss and great friend, great guy, and great product. That's right. You guys are close by there in Minnesota. Jan Kemp, we're going to build a hybrid program, keep our local studio, and also go online. Fantastic, love it. So quick shout out to Jay Croft. He's been kind enough to host a couple of sessions for us. He has a company called Prime Fit Content. If you're terrible at producing content, or the thought of having to create a newsletter or a promotional piece, Prime Fit Content has done for you email blasts, done for you content, done for you Facebook posts, created all for you so you can up level your content. So what does this mean for you now? Get hyper focused on your avatar, know who you want to reach and how to reach them. And when I say hyper focused on your avatar, like, I want you to know their name, I want you to know their age, I want you to really know who they are. Is it Sue? Is it Jane? Is it Helen? Is it Dorothy? Who are they? Where do they live? How do you reach them? Have multiple poles in the water at all times, online and offline. You have to be doing both. You can find, the only reason you wouldn't do online is if your target market is over 80. Then you might be able to do all offline lead generation, but 80-year-olds are certainly online as well. We have clients in their 80s that are Zooming with us. They're on our Facebook page, all sorts of things. But for sure, if you're looking for people 50 to 70, you got to be online and offline. You got to be doing speaking engagements and all sorts of things. Continue to improve. That's why you're here this weekend. So kudos to you. Become the recognized expert in your market. Get a coach or look at our Ageless Fitness program so you have a done-for-you model. Again, like I said earlier, don't try to reinvent the wheel when it's already been invented and there's models out there for you. The aging opportunity is massive. 76 million boomers, 64 million Gen Xers, and there's still 28 million seniors with us. So if you're not certified, get certified, become an expert in your market. Make sure you have the credential. You can learn more about Ageless Fitness on our website. I'm not going to get into that. If you don't have our book, please grab that. It's a great resource that we've created for you. You can get it for free as an ebook, or we can ship it to you. If you want us to ship it to you, it's getboomerclients.com, getboomerclients.com. Slightly different link because you got to pay $8, I think, for shipping. You should have that. It's got all our best resources. Don't get overwhelmed. So this is really for people thinking about launching, or maybe you've launched recently and now you're thinking about how do you reopen, rebrand, restart. Keep it simple, one step at a time, one contact at a time. We all know about 150 people in our local market. We know plumbers, we know electricians, we know people that work in retirement centers, we know people that own restaurants. We know a certain amount of people, right? And so start with your inner network and grow from there. Build your list every which way you can. Online, here's some ideas: website opt-ins, Facebook ads, Google AdWords, YouTube videos, Facebook videos, live or not. Facebook ads can be as cheap as $1 a day. You can run a simple video post of one of your best clients and spend $1 a day on it. You don't have to spend a fortune on Facebook ads. We did Facebook Live for our Studio Miracles Fitness, and in most cases, we would push $2 to $5 a day behind those Facebook Lives, and we would get anywhere from 500 to 1,000 views a day on our live videos. So you don't have to spend a lot on Facebook, but I will caution you to make sure you know what you're doing before you start spending hundreds of dollars on Facebook. Marion attended our first ever FAI Summit back in 2015, and I still remember how burnt out she was. She was working about 12 to 14-hour days, going from one place to another, from a client's home to a community center to a health club. I think she trained out of 2 or 3 different health clubs part-time, went into clients' homes, all sorts of things. And she was done. She was exhausted. And she really couldn't see how she could change it. In fact, I think she thought our business coaching day, we might tell her sort of the secret to double her business. And I said, you can't double your business. You're working 12, 14-hour days. How could I possibly double that on you? You have to change what you're doing. So a year later, she opened her own studio and was extremely successful with it. Much more revenue and much less work. She only had one place to be. So her long 12 to 14-hour days turned into very nice 10-hour days, which she enjoyed much more. and she got much more efficient and certainly much more profitable, and she wasn't running from one end of town to the other. She's in British Columbia in the suburbs of Vancouver. Build your list offline. There's about 20 different ways you can do that in this book. Go where your avatar eats, lives, works, and plays. Right? Physicians, physical therapy clinics, somebody already mentioned, chiropractors. Get to be friends with a chiropractor or two. Take them out to lunch. Network. BNI, Business Network International, is a organization that likely has a chapter in your town. If your town is 10,000 or bigger, BNI has 10,000 chapters, I believe, in the United States. There's 5 BNI chapters in my market. And I'm in Lafayette, West Lafayette, Indiana, 150,000 people, and we have 5 chapters. So Rotary Club, Kiwanis Club, Breakfast Optimist Club, Noon Optimist Club, your greater Chamber of Commerce type organizations in your town. There's lots of different ways to build your list offline. Social capital. Shelley Turk mentioned this in her talk. She went from being a lab medical employee to a business owner, and she realized pretty quickly, I need to build my social capital. I need to get to know better the small business owners I know. I need to get to know better my chiropractor. I need to get to know better my HVAC friend, my business owner friends. Your business really is supported by social capital. How many business owners do you know? How many business owners can you get to know? How many referral partners do you know, like, and trust? Excuse me. Again, more ways to build your list offline. Coffee and conversations. I'd never heard of this idea. Beth Pelton runs a studio in Iowa. This was her idea. She said, we just have coffee and conversation events every month at the studio. I said, well, that sounds brilliant. Tell me about that. She said, well, we invite in guest speakers because we kind of hope they might invite people. So she invites in a physical therapist to talk on joint replacement. She invites in a massage therapist to talk on relaxation. She invites in a essential oils person to talk on relaxation. All these different topics. She had someone come in and talk on the Enneagram. I mean, there's no rule. You can have the conversation on anything you want, right? It's just literally a coffee and hangout. And of course, part of her goal is to build community, but also have her clients invite their friends, and also, of course, have the guest speaker invite their following as well. So, I mean, simple idea. It's not complex. She does it every month. Seminars, lunch and learns at your studio, lunch and learns at businesses. Have someone else create an event. Have them get sponsors, work with them to get sponsors, especially sponsors you'd even like to have in the room. Offer lunch, so the sponsors pay for the lunch, and they make you the keynote presenter because you're the expert. So we did this with Home Care by Design. It's a home care company, and their primary focus is to keep people in their homes. And one of their goals is to help people stay in their homes as long as possible. And as long as people stay in their homes, don't move into retirement communities, they will keep their customer. And so, of course, they love having people train with us. And we got together, created an event called the New Aging Paradigm. I think the subtitle was How to Live in Your Own Home Forever. And I was a speaker. We had a chiropractor. And I said, I'll go get a professor from Purdue to speak as well. And then we asked some financial planners and I think a home healthcare company, maybe a medical device company. They sponsored it, and we provided lunch for free. We had 40 attendees. It was really a simple thing to do. I think I spoke for 30 minutes and gave my book away. Events can be huge, but you want to be at the right events. You want to be at the events where your avatar is attending. So a lot of times the charity walk run events are not always the best events if they're focused on younger, but wellness events, senior fairs, charity events, if you know your avatar. Caregiver events have been some of the best events for us. Purdue University used to run a caregiver event in the summertime for staff. And you know who attends caregiver events? People who are looking for caregivers for their parents. And that typically was people in their either 50s or 60s. Their parents were in their 80s or 90s. And so here we are as a great, essentially disruption, right? Everyone in the room is a caregiving company or a medical supply company. And then here's Miracles Fitness sitting there as really a completely different option, and something for the people looking for caregivers to say, oh, wait, I should consider this because I don't want someone to be looking for a caregiver for me someday. So Ultimate Pink Party is a breast cancer fundraiser in October every year. Anywhere from 350 to 400 women turn out. Most, I would say average age is probably 50 to 55 in that room. So definitely a lot of good opportunity for us there. So look for events where your avatar will be attending. So, you know, bike races for teenagers is probably not it. Speaking in third grade classrooms is probably not it, but you want to be at events where your avatar would be attending. Remember, be like Banana George Blair. Don't wait for the next thing to happen, make it happen. And so when we talk about word of mouth, don't just rely on word of mouth. Don't hope that your clients are going to tell people. Teach them how they can tell. This is one of the reasons why Beth has Coffee and Conversations, because she tells her clients to invite their friends, and then their friends now set foot in her studio. They realize it's not a scary place. There's nothing in there overly intimidating, and Beth is the nicest person you'll ever meet, and now that she can start the relationship. So you have to build that word of mouth. Be generative, run different events where you're doing things in the community so people can see you. Create challenges. We got both mayors involved on the Pound for Pound challenge. It was a local publicity campaign, and we won a $10,000 grant for the food bank, so everybody wins. I still use this because they both happen to still be the mayors almost 8 years later. And people still ask, well, which mayor won? And it's easy. Then I just say, well, they both won because we won a $10,000 grant for the local food bank. We didn't win it. The food bank won it. The food bank just asked us to be part of the publicity campaign. And I said, absolutely. We'll get the mayors to come in and do a public workout. And they thought they were going to get filmed for 3 minutes. We filmed them for 30 minutes training and turned it into a 3-minute promo video. If you can get on local TV, go for it. This typically only works if you're in a smaller market, 500,000 or less. So in Los Angeles, you're probably not going to get on. New York City, Atlanta, you're not going to get on. Here in West Lafayette, Indiana, we have a CBS affiliate. We're a small market of less than 200,000. And so they were looking for content for the morning news, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Let's be honest, a market of 150,000, there's just not enough news for 2 hours. And so I got on the news for about 2 years straight and continued to see people join year after year for about 3 more years. Oh, I saw you on the news. Wow, okay, great. And I didn't have the nerve to tell them I haven't been on the news for over a year. So if you can get on the news, great. If you can get on the news, then for sure, make that a Facebook video that you will boost and promote. Shelly got on the news in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and turned that into a nice Facebook post. It's credibility, right? As seen on the news. She also got into the newspaper. If you can get into the paper, go for it. Now, the only way you get into the paper is to leverage your uniqueness. You offer a program that prevents and reduces falls in the senior community. You offer a program that helps people get out of pain. You offer a program that takes people from an 8 or a 9 on the pain scale to a 3 or a 4. You have to be somewhat unique because there's lots of fitness programs. The newspaper is not just going to cover fitness. So Shelly was the first ever fitness studio focused on the over 50 crowd. She was the first ever functional aging specialist in all of Saskatchewan. She played up the uniqueness. She played up the story that no one has ever done anything like this in Saskatoon. Saskatoon happens to be the largest city in all of Saskatchewan. You'll have to look up the population later. Here's Shelly Turk. She is one of our success stories. I highly recommend, if you're thinking about opening a studio, that you get on a coaching call with me, you look into our mastermind group, you find some support so that you don't strike out alone and create the wrong business. It's really hard for me to help you once you have designed a business that isn't quite right. And so we want to get it right out of the gate, right from the get-go. If your business right now is not where you want it to be and you want to get it to the next level, I would certainly love to work with you on that as well. Mastermind's an ongoing month-to-month, 12-month coaching program, and it's been one of the more exciting things for us to do. So I'm going to stop sharing and love for you guys to hop on. We may have some people hopping in here because our closing session is coming up. So go ahead and hop on video. We're going to do about 10 minutes here of Q&A. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask it.
Well, I have a question.
Okay, Julianne, go for it.
So I mentor a colleague, and I have for about 4 years now. And we're kind of partners, not on paper, but we do want to. We both are self-employed, and we both have a following, and so we kind of want to go into business together. I am working currently on a weekly basis with a gentleman from SBIC. He's really taught me a lot, but you know, it's always very scary we don't know whether to open up a small studio, and it would be more of a 1,200 square foot to 1,500 square foot, facility, not a gym-like facility.
Sure.
More of a, clinic feel to it. And, she has a private studio in her home that she can expand on. And she's off of a very local road, not the main road, but a local road that's very, popular, so to speak. So, I don't know how. I've known about your program for a long time through Jackie out in Texas. She recommended you to me, but it's always that next step of, all right, well, what's this going to cost? I'm comfortable with what I make, but I do need to make more money. And so does my colleague. So, there's a lot of questions in that, I don't want to waste your time.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll answer that, Julianne. I'll answer that for anyone on here. If you think you're maybe interested or remotely interested or possibly interested in opening a business and maybe getting some coaching, happy to hop on a call with you. The best thing to do is to email us, contact@functionalaginginstitute.com. And what we ask is that you sort of lay out what you're thinking about. So it's not a very productive call if I hop on the call with you and we sort of explore 19 different options. But if you sort of lay out, this is what I'm doing now, and this is what I'm thinking about, and maybe there's 2 options you're thinking about. And then we can sort of talk through that on the phone of laying out a plan, and you can see how we coach businesses. And then we can talk about different options, because we have 3 or 4 different options for business coaching. Ranging all the way up to $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month, multiple meetings a year. That's what Jackie's in. A pretty big commitment that I usually don't recommend for people who are just, at the stage of thinking about it, right? Like if you're going to pay $12,000 for someone to coach you and run a business, that means you're all in. You're going to be opening a place. Right. So yeah, would love to have that conversation with you, Julianne. We can have that possibly next week. Bruno, go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
I started my business 3 years ago, and with pretty much my life savings. And for 3 years, I did not spend any other money than food. I didn't go to a restaurant. I did not go to a movie. I worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, but coaching got me where I am today. So it's critical. You're not going to make it if you don't get outside help and talk to people that have been there before, that have done it before, and that made the mistakes. Otherwise, there's nowhere around it where you can be successful starting a business without coaching. So you need to surround yourself with people that have been doing it before. So you don't, like I said, you don't make the same mistakes that they've done, and they give you a pattern, they give you a way to get there so much faster. And the money is really irrelevant, because, you want to make it or you don't. And if you're not going to make it with outside help. So for me, it was, you know, I spent a lot of money on coaching, but I was able to be debt-free, completely debt-free after 3 years. So coaching is super important. You're not going to make it without it.
I'm going to have to send you your gift card later, Bruno. That was
Well,
kind
yeah.
of you to say. So thanks for that. I did not put him up to that, by the way. So.
No, and by the way, you know, I had another coach before you, and
Yeah.
you know, which was you know, it's critical. It really doesn't matter. You know, there's some other people that have done it before, that have been successful, that made the mistakes, and you got to learn from those people. You know, if you're in the room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right?
That's good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, always be learning for sure. Peter says, when I ran my studio, I used to invite local artists to display their art and invite people for cheese and wine to the studio and give a presentation after on wellness. I like that. Anita, you're on video. I do coffee, cake, and chat every month. So similar to Beth's coffee and conversations. Great. Dolly, thanks for being here. Anyone else want to ask a live question? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up because we are going to be doing our live closing in this room. So you can stay put. But anybody else have a live question they want to ask, or maybe they want to type it in the chat? I'm trying to keep up with the chat. There's Dolly. You got the kittens with you again?
No, I left them at home with my daughter today.
No kittens today. No kittens.
I got a break. I feed that thing every half hour, 24 hours a day, so I get a break today.
Yeah, so Julianne, it's our main email, contact, and I'm typing it in here, contact@functionalaginginstitute.com. That's the best place to, and it's helpful if you just say, hey, I was at the summit, I'm interested in talking to Dan about coaching and different business options and like to schedule a call. So give us as much information as possible. Anyone else?
Dan, do you want to
Louise,
see what
thank
the
you.
Functional Aging Institute workshop or conference is in
There it is.
virtual?
There's the whole team. There's Dolly, Travis. Can't see who the other person is over there. Is Leilani there too?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Leilani, Stacy, Karen.
You guys been taking it all in. It's only 1 o'clock where you are, so I mean, pretty soon here you can go out to lunch. So, but you've been there since the crack of dawn.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much for attending my session, Secrets of Successful Studios. We are going to have a live wrap up here in about 8 minutes with Cody. I'm going to share my screen for that. But for the moment, I'm going to stop my video and end this recording as well. Let me do that.